And welcome back to the Constitutionals Podcast. I'm your host, Chad White. If you didn't know, this is a premier podcast for the website, cpluscomedy.com. Listen, we got something special for you. I got a quick little interview with Judah Miller, who is the co-creator. The co-creator of the show Bupkis over there on the Peacock platform. I don't think that's what they call it, but I think that's what I should call it from now on, the Peacock platform. Judah is a very funny guy. I enjoyed my interview with him. He is somebody that I've known. I've seen his name on, what's it called? American Dad. He's done Crashing. He's one of the storied comedy producers that everybody should know. Yeah, I mean, if you watch a lot of TV, you should definitely know him by name and everything. But if you're listening to the audio version of this, then you will listen to the interview coming up next after this. And if you're watching the video version, then you just got this free intro because I'm not editing anything. Judah Miller, showrunner, executive producer, writer. Where else have you seen him besides Crashing and Bupkis? Let's see. I'm gonna go to his IMDb page because I'm good. Because I should have had it up earlier, but I didn't. And whose fault is that? He was a producer on King of Staten Island, American Dad, like I said, Crashing as well. King of the Hill. He's done Stacked. You remember that show, Stacked, starring I'm not gonna look. Tommy Lee, Pam Anderson. Oof. I watched that show because obviously for two reasons. For Christopher Lloyd and Elon Gold and Paget Brewster. There's three reasons. Judah Miller is a very funny guy, very thoughtful, and we had a very lovely chat, and I'm very appreciative that he sat down with me to talk. That's where I thrive. You know, I can talk to comedians and everything, but it's the people behind the camera, behind the page. Check out Bupkis on Peacock. It's a very funny show. I finished it this Friday. I did have screeners, and I only watched one episode on the screeners. And I said, I'm paying for Peacock. Let me help them out a little bit, the views. So I watched it all over the course of a week, and it's a very funny, very surreal show. I can't we can see all these shows starring, you know, comedians that are so serious that follow what they did and everything. But when they decide to break out, when there's a show like Bupkis and it decides to just break the norm of storytelling, I appreciate it way more than any other show that can do it. And that's no offense. Like with Seinfeld. Seinfeld's a very funny kind of autobiographical style type show. Not saying it is autobiographical. I don't know if Jerry slept with 1,000 beautiful women. Or Larry David slept with 1,000 beautiful women, but the part where they're making the TV show, and in what season, like 4 or something like that, when they were trying to do Seinfeld for NBC. Anyway, Bupkis, Pete Davidson, Edie Falco, Joe Pesci, great show. Check it out. Okay, so I'm gonna go to break, and then we're gonna come back. Okay, here we are, going to break. Hey, we're back. Welcome back to the show. It's been 7 days. And we are back, baby. Episode 262. I meant to do this on Friday, but I was busy writing something else. I just got an email that is upsetting. It's a show that's ending, and it's unfortunate it's ending, but you know what? I think it has to, because I think there are 2 people who are dead from the show. And it's been funny. I'm not going to talk about it because I have other things to talk about. We have, hold on. Oh my God, another thing that just came in. Oh boy. Another thing that came in. Probably I'll talk about it on the next episode. This other thing I won't talk about. The first thing I won't talk about. Okay, let me get to the things. What's been going on with me? I haven't been seeing a lot of movies, and that's it. I've been had to watch movies at home. When Fast 10 comes out, oh boy, you better believe I'm seeing that. There's a new Legend of Zelda out, Tears of the Kingdom. I don't have it. One day I will buy it. It is $70. No Switch game should be $70. No video game should be $70. It's ridiculous. I just don't understand. Ratchet and Clank on Rift Apart on PS5 for so long was $70. Like, you could never find it on sale. If it was on sale, it'd be $50. And I'm not somebody who puts worth in the video game of how much I'm going to play it, but I'm not going to spend $70 on a game. Otherwise, that game better keep me entertained for, hundreds and hundreds of hours. Because if we're doing that, if it's something that I'm going to play again and again, or if it's something that's just like ongoing, then it better give me that type of value. Persona 5 Royal. Oh my God, that's got to be one of my favorite games of all time. And I haven't liked JRPGs that much. But man, that game has given me so much. And I can't explain too much of the game because it's convoluted. But you play a student who gets in trouble. He doesn't get in trouble. Well, you'll see. Yeah, you play a student, gets in trouble, and he's shipped off to live with a family friend in a different area of Japan. You go to school during the day. You fight monsters and demons and crawl through dungeons at night. You make all these friends. They tell this all-encompassing story. I'm 130 hours in. I'm still not done yet. I have a couple of girlfriends on the game show. A couple of girlfriends. One's name is Makoto. She's great. She's about to graduate high school, so she's older than me. The older ones. And I have another one who's in my grade, and her name is Hifumi, I believe, and she is a master. I don't know the game. I forgot what it's called, but it's like chess. Let's pretend she's a master chess player. And I stumbled upon that one by accident. She and I. I had gotten the bond so strong, and at one point she was like, I really rely on you. And then I said, I rely on you too. She's like, you want to be my boyfriend? I went, oh no. So when I get to Valentine's Day, apparently if you're dating more than one person, then they all confront you and you get in trouble. So I'm just trying to collect. I'm just trying to collect different dates. Let's get on with the stories. But the main crux of the game is like you're fighting demons and you're going to school. Dating is like a secondary thing. But man, oh man, when I have free time, me and Makoto. This comes from Deadline. Peter White. Conan O'Brien gets into the Fast game with Samsung. Fast, the free advertising streaming television networks. That's what Fast is. It's Pluto. It's Roku. It's the stuff that is free that you have that everybody's Tubi that everybody has access to. That people watch now, kind of in place of cable. If there are people you don't have cable and you just want to keep the TV on and have things streaming. Then having Pluto TV on is the perfect thing. And Samsung has like Samsung, I think it's called Samsung Free, Samsung Free TV or something like that. LG has one. I don't use any of those. I'd rather use something that I know, like Pluto. I know Pluto. I know Tubi in some aspects. I know Roku. I just don't want to like all these other ones that are all over the place. They more or less mostly have the same channels. So Conan's going to launch his own on Samsung TV Plus, which is an app that is on your Samsung TVs, but also if you have a Samsung phone like this bad boy, the S23 Ultra, then you get it. It's already installed on your phone. It's going to include classic content from his years of hosting nightly talk shows. All the interviews that you know: Justin Bieber, Tom Hanks, Gal Gadot. Bits from Triumph, the Insult Dog, Jordan Slansky, Sona, Andy, Clueless Gamer. It's anything you can find on YouTube, more or less. This is a good expansion. Like, this is something that, as much as with the glut of these type of TV things that we have, I do appreciate that there is a variety. And as much as I hate watching not trailers. Sorry, I just opened up something that I'm saving for later. It's a trailer for Justified City Primeval. But as much as I hate seeing those things, and seeing how many, like, not everything needs a channel. You know, Sabrina the Teenage Witch, the cartoon, the animated series, doesn't need a channel on Pluto, but it has one. I like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and there's a channel for it on Pluto. So there you go. But not everybody needs one. Okay. But continuing off that, this comes from The Wrap, written by Jose Alejandro Bastidas. NBC Universal and Amazon partner to add local news stations to FAST services. Now, with the addition of streaming television, streaming networks such as Paramount Plus and Tubi and Netflix, and people getting rid of cable, there has been this kind of emphasis on local channels. How else are you going to watch, the Kentucky Derby? How are you going to watch a golf match on CBS? Kentucky Derby on NBC, the golf match on CBS. How are you going to watch ESPN on ABC on ABC? The Oscars, the Tonys, the Globes, all that stuff. People want to watch that stuff, even if they don't have like the interest in watching the Oscars or the Super Bowl. They want the option. They don't have interest in watching it. They want the option to do it. And you see that when CBS All Access, now Paramount Plus, but CBS All Access introduced CBS, the ability to live stream local CBS to the app. And I remember that being just a big step for them, and that driving people to drop cable, because, hey, now I'm able to watch this. And yeah, you can grab bunny ears, you can grab an antenna. I look over here because I know I have one over here that does not work on my TV, unfortunately. But you can grab an antenna and put it up in your window and get those channels in. You can also pay for Hulu with Live TV or Sling TV or YouTube TV and get your local channels that way. Or you can have now this new option of streaming it, thanks to Peacock, thanks to Paramount Plus, because now on Peacock you can also get, if you pay for the ad-free version, you get your local NBC station. Thanks to Peacock and Paramount Plus. And I think Fox Nation might also do it for your local Fox affiliate. I'm not entirely sure. And I don't believe ABC has an option yet, as of yet. I would imagine they would kind of possibly do that for Hulu, because Disney did indicate that they are interested in keeping Hulu this past week. They didn't say it, but during an earnings call, they very much so hinted that they were going to purchase Comcast's whatchamacallit. So NBC, Universal, and Amazon are teaming up to expand the reach of NBC and Telemundo local news stations and streaming, the companies announced on Friday. The deal is going to give U.S.-based Amazon customers access to local breaking news coverage and original content from NBCU's local stations. So that means, I used to work at the NBC affiliate here, WXIA. So that means the news specials you'll see like on a Wednesday night at like 7 p.m. or something, or 6 p.m. or whatever. Let's see, what's one I worked on? When I worked there, the first one that I worked on was the Olympics were coming up again, and then they were going to in Atlanta, and they were going to in Atlanta. Was it Atlanta? No, excuse me. I'm sorry. They were celebrating the anniversary of the Olympics that were in Atlanta in the early 2000s, late 90s, and they were talking about that, and we interviewed the mayor from the time, Billy, and I was sent out with an anchor, not a reporter. I was sent out with an anchor and a camera person, and we were just the three of us, no big deal. Yeah, that's my first big move, and we did that. There's also one that was talking about racism and hate speech online, and I was actually in that one. And then there was another one for the Atlanta AJC Peachtree Street Road Race. I've done stuff. No big deal. Again, they only paid me $10 an hour. Oh, well, that's a different podcast. That's the LinkedIn logs I was talking about. Anyway, I was only paid $10 an hour, and interns made more money than me. And I tried to argue that I should get more money, and I was told I had to wait 6 months. That's the short version of the story. Anyway, so this new fast free ad-supported streaming TV channels will present all-day coverage from NBC and Telemundo stations from its top TV regions. I believe Tubi has. Let me triple check before I say anything stupid. But if I'm correct, I believe they do have live streaming for news networks. But also, I could have just gone to Tubi.com, but it's easier just to open up the app. But also, they have. Oh my God! I was on this show. Oh my word! Oh, this is the British version. This is a dating show that I was on, and interesting. That I didn't know that it was streaming. Interesting. That is good to know. But you can I can tap around and look at ABC News Live, which has live coverage of whatever ABC News they have like a kind of 24/7 thing. And then NBC Morning News Now and Live Now from Fox and Today All Day. Like, you can watch all this stuff, and while it is current, it's not going to be the thing that's airing. You know, if ABC News Live is doing something, it's not going to be the same thing that's airing on, you know, the 12 o'clock noon show on your ABC affiliate. So this is a great move so far. They've got New York, LA, Philly, Chicago, Dallas, Boston, Bay Area, San Diego, Connecticut, DC, South Florida. So they've got like all of the main places you kind of want to hit. The local stations addition into Amazon products continues NBCU's expansion into the FAST space. The channels are already available on Peacock, Samsung TV Plus, Roku Channel, and Xumo Play. I don't know anyone who has Xumo Play, which is XUMO Play. Fire TV also includes a Peacock app for free alongside the FAST channels for Today All Day and 24/7 Dateline 24/7. All right, so there you go. There's that. Moving on, Disney. This is what I was talking about earlier. Disney had an earnings call last week. This comes from Dan Gallagher at the Wall Street Journal. Disney makes tough but necessary choices on streaming. So this will kind of touch on to what we're doing with the what they're doing, rather, what writers are doing with the strike right now. Disney's fiscal second quarter results Wednesday afternoon were announced, contained a couple of surprises for the company's streaming business. The segment generated an operating loss of $659 million, nearly $200 million less than Wall Street had expected, and way better than the $1 billion torched by that unit 3 months prior. Now, all of these streaming platforms, whether it's music, whether it's movies, whether it's TV shows, whatever, they're all going to lose money. And the point of it is you have to lose less money than you know than what was happening last time. So if you're losing $1 billion, you want to get it down to 500 million, and then you want to get it down to 200 million, and eventually you want to be like Spotify and hopefully come out in the green later on. But it took Spotify a lot of things, and such as gaining subscribers and being the number one most recognized music streaming service out there. The flagship Disney Plus service also lost $4 million and 4 million paid subscribers rather during the quarter. It's big. I'm sure that they look at subscribers as dollars. We like if I leave Disney Plus, we lost $7 on that guy. Its biggest drop ever, and a shock to analysts who expected the service to add 1.7 million subscribers. Disney's shares fell more than 4% at the report. Now we might be going into a recession. People's belts are tightening, and Disney Plus just has nothing to offer. And so as a result of this, of these loss of subscribers, Bob Iger, who just returned to the throne of Disney, did say that they will be looking to cut content when it comes down to it. So we're going to be seeing less shows, less movies, and let's be clear, that doesn't mean like if they're going to start pulling things off and they're going to pull a Warner Brothers Discovery and have a movie already made and then just not air it. I don't think anyone else is going to do that from this point forward. But which is again, never say never, because we didn't know it was going to happen that first time. But if they're making 100 projects this year, and some of them haven't even hit the green light, then we'll probably see 100 projects turn into 80 projects. If they can just nickel and dime everywhere they can. So there's other changes coming. We're probably going to see more layoffs, especially if their subscriber count doesn't grow. And also, just this past weekend, the Guardians of the Galaxy 3 saw a big dip, just like Ant-Man and Wasp, when it came to second weekend earnings. The company has also a unique challenge of relying on expensive-to-make programs for popular franchises like Marvel and Star Wars to feed its viewership base. Marvel alone accounted for 8 exclusive series totaling 57 episodes launched on Disney Plus over the last 2 years. So again, we're gonna pull back on that a little bit. There's going to be a price increase for the ad-free tier. So I assume we're going to go from, what is it, $7 or $8 up to $10 at this point. And then we're later on this year, we're going to see Hulu stuff, shows like Up There, Handmaid's Tale. We're gonna see shows start popping up on Disney Plus. And that's not to say that Hulu's going out of the way, but I do assume that with Disney pulling in Hulu, I have a feeling that within the next 3 years or so, 3 years, I say 3 years, that we will see Hulu go by the wayside. I just have that feeling. I think they should still keep. Just keep Disney Plus and Hulu separate, and to some extent ESPN Plus. I just because Disney Plus offers things. It's the family thing. It's the family one that has the family stuff. Like I watched 2 episodes of Disney's Doug yesterday, which is not superior to Nickelodeon Doug, to Paramount's Doug. But it's I think Hulu. I'd rather go to Hulu to watch Hit Monkey, which they can curse and everything in, and then come to Disney Plus to watch, I don't know, The Mandalorian. That's a show I like. I like a Mandalorian. I don't like Star Wars that much, but I like a Mandalorian. So they have to make streaming profitable, which is hard. And there's gotta be some type of movement when it comes to the prices that they're doing. And at some point, what if they get up to the prices that HBO Max, Max's new offering is going to be in 2 weeks, or Netflix is $20? I think Max is going to be $20 as well. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Well, it has happened. This happened overnight, but the story was Vice was said to be heading for bankruptcy, and now they are fully bankrupt. Digital media, it's hard. We saw BuzzFeed News close down shop, and MTV News is gone by the wayside. Which, yeah, we'll mix these two stories. MTV News is gone. This comes from New York Times, written by Remy Tooman. How MTV broke news for a generation. MTV News bridged a gap between news and pop culture without talking down to its audience as it prepares to shut down. Kurt Loder, Tabitha Soren, Sway Calloway, and others reflect on its legacy. And this is a great piece that Ms. Tooman wrote. And it doesn't capture everything, but it does have a great oral history of what MTV News meant to, quite frankly, a young adult generation that that didn't have the 24-hour news cycle that there is now, like where you can mix watching music videos and then also in an hour after, watching TRL or what have you, see the news things happen. They mentioned the suicide of Kurt Cobain, when Courtney Love interrupted Madonna, people at award shows. I mean, that was just, it was very raw, and it felt, sorry, I almost ended the recording, and it felt very passionate at what they were doing, even if it was messy. And Vice was pretty much the new generation version of that. And now this bankruptcy doesn't. And also, I'm sorry, this bankruptcy article comes from the New York Times, written by Lauren Hirsch and Benjamin Mullen. Vice is said to be headed for bankruptcy. And again, they filed this morning. I woke up, saw the emails, 4:00. They did file for bankruptcy. But this bankruptcy doesn't necessarily mean that they're heading towards failure. I mean, they're still going to operate for the time being, and they still have the option to find cash from an investor or something. But this is just going to take care of some loose ends in the immediate. As for MTV News, this is just kind of that, like we've seen. I wasn't even sure if MTV News was still around in any type of incarnation that was palpable to continue working through, but we are now at a point where we're losing kind of the old media along with this digital media that we thought was going to be the next source of how people get their news. But now we're seeing things like the New York Times, even if they don't have the subscriber numbers, or if it's slow growth, or if they're losing just a little bit of money, we're still seeing things like the New York Times and NPR stride and work and be things that people get their news from, or even reference. So, like, how many times have I read something on Vox.com that linked back to the New York Times, which had the more information and was written better? How many times does something from CNBC link back to Wall Street Journal? As much as archaic as old media is, there's still something to it that people like me trust. Okay, we talked about those two. Now we can talk about what the Writers Guild are fighting for. This comes from Hollywood Reporter, written by Boris Kitt and Leslie Goldberg. Viewership, transparency, AI among issues dividing writers and Hollywood companies and contract talks. Now, when the last strike happened in 2007 and 2008, 2007, 2008. I'm sorry, I just saw an article that interests me. That's about the strike that really interests me, that I won't read on air. But it says striking writers mock Wednesday star Jenny Ortega. Let's go on this journey together. We'll get back to the main crux of what I'm talking about. Oh, she said some controversial comments. She's 20 years old. She should not be saying anything, first of all, but she's 20 years old. Don't get mad at her. Let's see what she said. Ortega previously made headlines for saying she helped improve writing on her show. Oh, okay. Ortega's comments stemmed from a March episode of Armchair Expert, where she said, "There were times on that set where I almost became unprofessional in a sense, where I just started changing lines." Oh no, don't do that. The script supervisor thought I was like going with something, and then I would have to sit down with the writers, and they would be like, "Wait, what happened to this scene?" And I would have to go through and explain why I couldn't do certain things. Oh shit! All right, again, she's 20 years old or something like that. Okay, everybody's doing a job on a set, and you should never, ever, ever mess with anybody's job. If a gaffer is doing lighting, let that gaffer do lighting. Don't tell that person what to do. If the makeup artist is putting makeup on an actor, and you are a PA, don't go over there and be like, you should do this. Pretty much everybody should stay in their lanes. And the writers that have been yeah, the writers that are commenting on this they're very right in their anger for or this or they're snapping back at her, I guess, whatever. Like Nick Adams, this BoJack Horseman writer, said, Jenny Ortega better be back from New York for her afternoon shift on the pickup line. Yeah, because she should be down there picketing with them. Anyway, don't do that. Don't change lines like that. Okay. For streaming projects, the WGA asked for viewership-based residuals in addition to existing fixed residuals. We see shows, we see Netflix, Hulu, they never talk about numbers, but we do see them when a show goes bananas. They go, hey, 70 million people watched the first 3 episodes of Stranger Things. And there, there's a total of 6,247 minutes of The Diplomat being, for one show I can think of, The Diplomat, being watched on Netflix every 2 hours. And it just, that's a very big problem because residuals used to be a great way to make money on a show. You go like if you look at Cheers or Taxi or whatever, those shows, yes, obviously at a different time we're getting, and Friends even, those shows were getting 10, 20 million viewers, for every episode every single week because it was appointment viewing. You were coming down and you were coming downstairs and watching it like the Brady Bunch. You were sitting there together watching it. And then as time has gone on and people have dropped cable and everything, it is and just regular TV in general, it's been hard to get these numbers. And one reason why these numbers aren't being mentioned a lot is for advertisers, and then they have to monetize them. So in the advertisers' case, if Netflix has a show that they were going to advertise on across broadcast and cable and online and on billboards and stuff like that, if this show isn't as hot as it should be, and the numbers are out there, then that's going to tell advertisers that there's no they should have no confidence in Netflix. But if they're able to say, 77 minutes are watched every second, then that looks like a big enough number for an advertiser to want to continue working with Netflix in some respect, whether they advertise on the platform or they're advertising elsewhere. And then I forgot what the second thing was I was going to mention. The numbers have to work in their favor. If you're not gonna, if they say, Boss Baby Back in the Crib, isn't getting the viewers that they need, then then they're basically telling you don't need to watch that show. So it's important that, back to residuals, it's important that, we go back to it, like in Cheers, 20 million people watch an episode, and this is your only job. Now you have to have like 4 or 5 jobs as a writer or a producer in order to have, to make money, because you're not making a lot of money as you were back in the early 90s, late 80s, making money, residuals on a show. You could sit back, cash those checks, and then also, and residuals are the reruns, and things of that nature. And so you can sit back, cash those checks, and when the season is in its off season, and not have to worry about not making rent or something along those lines. But now residuals, sometimes you're getting paid a flat fee for a streaming show, or sometimes they're just not even sharing the load. Excuse me. They're not sharing the what's the word I'm looking for? The money. The loot. Give me the loot. It's a great song. And then the other thing is the AI thing. The concerns about AI taking over writing are also alleged to have been glossed over by the studios, like truly just glossed over. The WGA wanted to regulate the use of AI and wanted assurance that it could not be used to write or rewrite literary material, nor could it be used as source material. The AMPTP rejected the guild's proposals, which is studios, and countering by offering annual meetings to discuss advancements in technology. But that doesn't mean that they're going to mitigate or to stop or even mitigate rather the use of AI technology. I mean, this is AI could come for anyone's job, and if it comes for the writer's job, then the next thing is, there are already companies developing video AI where you can just scan some, I just saw this on the Wall Street Journal where you can Joanna Stern had a video on the Journal talking about she went to this AI startup and they had technology where she could just say like 4 or 5 sentences on camera in a green screen, and then they train her voice model, and then the AI can make a version of her face and just make this model where they can make her say anything as long as she types it into the program. And so if the WGA, if the studios, let's say they have their way, which God forbid, but if the studios are able to get away with AI stuff for writers, and they don't have to hire a writer or writers for a TV show or movie, then they'll be coming for the actors next, and then they'll be coming for the directors and producers and the gaffers and the PAs and everybody, and pretty soon they could just make that Lion King movie. They could just go to a warehouse, tip tap type away, press 3 buttons, and then they'll make a movie or a TV show, and then a lot of people will be out of jobs. So that's what they're fighting for. They want to get rid of mini rooms. They want to preserve writers' rooms with the proposal for a minimum of 6 writers per room, and that number growing as the episode order does, with 1 additional staffer added every 2 episodes, with a max of 12 per room. They want to get rid, so the mini rooms that feature a handful of writers breaking stories before a formal series, which is not always a guarantee, which means that they can get paid the minimum. And that's the thing. Also, the guild minimum, like they can, they have there's these choices of ranges of how much that a studio has to pay a union member. And quite often they not even like even if you have seniority or whatever, they'll be paying people less than what they should. Heading into negotiations, many writers and lit agents were concerned with span, which is the time it takes to make a scripted series. Span protections would ensure that writers are fairly compensated for programming that may take years to complete, a trend that has been increasingly common in the peak TV era of lavish premium content. They want a minimum staff of guaranteed 10 consecutive weeks of work, and that writers be allowed to at least 3 weeks per episode, with half of the minimum staff employed through production and 1 writer employed through post-production. All of these offers that the WGA are throwing up are being rejected. And while that comes with the strike territory, these are very reasonable things that people want. Because that, like, it is just crazy for people like David Zaslav and Bob Iger, as much as I like that guy, and Bob Backish and the rest of these CEOs that are making $500 million a year. And it's not that much. It's like 250, 300 million, but still, about $250 million a year. I guess I could have said. It's crazy for them to be making that much and then not want to be able, or not even like fight for the people who make the shows. Because again, it starts with the writers, but it's going to go way up the chain. And pretty soon you'll be watching AI generated Stranger Things 2. Nobody want to watch that. Nobody want to watch that. There's a little bit of progress. Tentative agreements include staff writers earning script fees in addition to their weekly salaries, an increase in span cap from 400,000 to 450,000, and extending those protections to writers on limited series. The guild also offered one free quote unquote promotional airing for broadcast series. I don't know what that means. Again, this is not going to end for a while, and you should be on the side of the writers if you even have any question about this. Because there's way more things that they're fighting for that are way more important. Okay, and the final thing. Oh, no, this is continuing on with the strike. A villain for the strike has been found. And right now, this is Netflix. This comes from New York Times, written by John Coblin and Nicole Sperling. Netflix is, again, one of the biggest purveyors of media right now in the world. And its head guy in charge, CEO Ted Sarandos, has been saying things like, "Hey, we have enough, content, movies, and TV shows for the rest of the year, so we're good. Doesn't matter what happens." They're willing to cancel shows left and right. And now, the writers, who are represented by affiliate branches of the Rising of America, has said that streaming era has eroded their working conditions and stagnated their wages, despite the explosion of television production in recent years, for much of which Netflix has been responsible. At a summit in Los Angeles, Ellen Stutzman, the chief negotiator of the WGA, and David Goodman, a chair of the writers' negotiating committee, answered a call in unison. The company that they're all fighting against is Netflix. Not fighting against, but that's one of the big things they're fighting. The crowd of 1,800 writers laughed and then applauded, according to a person present at the event. There was an event, the summit. Before, Netflix was cheered by the creative community for creating so many shows and providing so many opportunities, but it's kind of like, a gig. If you've ever done gig work, you've been on an app that has gig work, you're getting the small fry stuff, and it seems like, yay, I'm busy, I'm making money, but you're not really doing that. In Los Angeles, Netflix's Sunset Boulevard headquarters has become a focal point for striking writers. The band Imagine Dragons staged an impromptu concert before hundreds of demonstrators on Tuesday. Oh, okay. That's cool. One writer pleaded on social media this week that more picketers were needed outside the Universal lot, lamenting that, quote, everyone wants to have a party at Netflix instead, which, yeah, that does seem like what it is. Demonstrators were out in force in front of the headquarters for last week. While they marched, the veteran television writer Peter Hume affixed flyers to picket signs, which is great to see. People are working to get the strike moving and fast. Netflix canceled an in-person event showcase for its marketers because of reasons. The company had been scheduled to join the lineup of so-called upfronts, which is the television upfronts, which is where you tell advertisers, hey, this is what we have coming. Please advertise with us. And Netflix really needs that this year because of their new ad-supported version of Netflix. Ted Sarandos is the villain. Netflix is the villain. They're making money. Listen, if you like what you heard here, head to the website, cpluscomedy.com, where you can see me talk to famous people. Sometimes, not all the time. If you want to see a video version of the show, head to youtube.com/cpluscomedy, where you can also see video versions of the podcasts that you can also subscribe to wherever you get your podcasts. Late Night Lately, the late night show, which is on hiatus because of this aforementioned strike. There's no late night to watch, and there's no podcast to do. I'm really striking for solidarity with my brothers and sisters. What else? And then there's LinkedIn Logs, which is the business podcast. I try to do OnlyFans or some BS. I don't know. I've lost interest in that B story. But the A story for LinkedIn Logs, which is me telling job stories and everything. That's it. That's the good one. Yeah, check it out. LinkedIn Logs, wherever you get your podcasts, video versions, youtube.com/CPlusComedy. You can also watch News Time, which is our premiere show, and you can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, at CPlusComedy, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, at CPlusComedy. And then me on those platforms, at Chad Black White. Rate, review, subscribe, tell your friends, and we're going to end this show right now. Goodbye. Okay.